Hello and welcome to The Cast of Us, a podcast dedicated to The Last of Us on HBO and brought to you by the Fan Critical Podcast Network. We are back, yes, pretty much straight away after our hot take, we are back with our deep dive into episode 7 of The Last of Us, titled Left Behind, famously named after the downloadable content for the game. And here on this podcast, we don't leave anyone behind, even though my first guest would happily cut loose any dead wood as he is a ruthless individual. It's John.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Guest. I don't know if you ever called me guest before.
Yeah, welcome to the
podcast.
pod,
It's very
John.
formal, isn't it? Yeah. Welcome to the podcast,
I was quite excited
John.
then. I was like, who's this going to be?
Imagine that. Someone just
Robert
turns
Redford.
up out of nowhere.
What? What's he?
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of Deadwood, that I was just referring to, also joining us this week, despite John's best efforts to leave him behind to the infected, we've carried him along with us all this way. It's little Gareth.
Hello. I think the last thing I did was talk to you about this episode.
Yeah.
And I went to bed.
Yeah.
And the next thing I've done is talk to you about this episode.
Yeah.
Getting bored of this?
And then go to bed.
No, I'm joking. Excited to be here. Excited to be here.
Well, do you know what's really funny? I enjoyed our conversation so much, Gareth, that I overslept. And
Fucking slept in, hasn't he? Unbelievable.
I slept in.
Yeah.
I woke up to
Speaking of
the
Deadwood.
first time ever. Yeah, the first time ever, I overslept, almost missing the podcast, and I woke up to Mel just tapping me on the shoulder, going, "Can you answer the phone, please?" Because someone kept calling me. There's fucking missed calls from you, and I just ran straight from the bedroom to the microphone. So if I sound a bit bizarre, it's because I'm maybe
answer
still
the phone.
asleep. I don't know. Just cancel that. Anyway, we've obviously had a hot take. We've talked about episode 7, myself and Gareth, but of course, everyone wants to hear from our guest, John. John, could you please
welcome, mate.
give us?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Could you? All right, see ya. All right. Could you please give us your thoughts and delicious blueberries, on episode 7 of The Last of Us?
Yes. 4 bloobs. Straight
out
in
the
there.
bat.
Yeah. I'm scoring this episode based on so I think it's a well-crafted episode. I really like, I know they're not zombies, all right? Stop writing in.
Don't say it.
I'm just saying, the plant people that are sort of a bit like zombies, right?
Plant people. Plant
Yeah.
people.
Look like zombies, act like
The
zombies.
fun guys.
All right?
The fun guys.
Yeah. It's a trope, isn't it, that you end up in a shopping mall. So, to see that, and then to be like, oh, this would be cool, wouldn't it, to be in here and be able to do whatever I want. Why are you wearing that dress? But, why not, innit? Why not? Because you can, right? You can wear whatever you want, yeah, or play any video games or whatever, and wear any dress you want, or, mess around in Ann Summers, wherever they were. So I'm giving it 4 bloobs on the basis of that. I did find this quite a dull episode. I think the acting is very good.
Very good,
It is a bit nothing at this stage.
I did say this in the hot take, that it's a little bit worrying how little runtime there is left to wrap up this season, which we've discussed before about how much longer is left in the episodes. I think next week's 55 minutes and it's 43 minutes.
Yeah, it's
maybe?
it's the shortest episode.
Yeah. And there's, the next episode is going to be really good because I know what's coming up, but I'm still worried about the runtime of it. And I do understand that concern. I'll piggyback off your score. I'm going to give it 4 as well, because I think it's a great episode. Like I said this in the hot take. I think the relationship between Ellie and Riley is beautiful, and it's the chemistry between them is fantastic. Like, and I think this is Bella Ramsey's best episode. I think she's brilliant. I think she's absolutely brilliant. I have heard this from several people and several reviews that it is a bit slow at this stage, and not that it's boring necessarily, but like there's not too much, that really gets you out of your seat. And I'm not saying that every episode needs to do that, but there is a worry.
Sit down.
Can you sit down, please?
No, look. Yeah, just Jesus.
There's one of those fun guys. Oh, run!
Where is he from?
Dear.
I-
What do you mean?
What was that accent?
Well,
No, that was a zombie watching the show.
Oh,
Got you.
oh yeah. I was about to say, well, Gareth, the fun guy, was in the mall, and if you didn't notice him,
Yeah.
he was in there. But I actually think, I say it again, 4 is still an amazing score. I don't think it reaches the heights of like episode 3 or 5. But it's a great episode, and I am happy that they kept this part of the game in there because it's integral to understanding Ellie. And I said this in a hot take, like there's an element of happiness to this, and it's these moments of happiness that get snatched away from you that make The Last of Us so special. And I don't know, man, like we're not going to get too many more happy moments, so you just cling on to these little snippets of happiness and snippy. Just clutch onto them while you can, is what I'm saying. And it's lovely to see Bella and Ellie being a kid, so it's a 4 from me. What did you think, Gareth? How's your score now? You can score it. Remember we said yesterday no scores because the testament of Fan Critical said no blueberries in the hot take. But now you can give them out. Get them out your pocket.
Yeah, they're all squashed.
Oh yeah, I'm going to give it
tell.
just sludge.
One.
Out of...
One big blueberry mush for this episode. So I think I definitely understand your concerns, and I think at the start of the episode when we first went to flashback mode, I was like, I did sort of think, I kind of want to stick with where we're at with Joel. I want to see what's happening here. And my initial reaction to that was negative. And then I think I just kind of got swept away by the story, and I loved them all. And I know it's a trope, I know it's a cliche, but it was the aesthetic of it, the cinematography in there. And this is maybe a bizarre thing to say about a TV show that has had an episode set in Wyoming and filmed in Alberta or whichever beautiful part of Canada it was filmed in.
Yeah.
But it was stunning. Like that shot when all the lights came on in the mall.
Oh yeah.
That I loved it. And from like an artistic perspective, I thought it was such a well-made episode. Then on top of that, you've got the acting that was phenomenal. It's another sort of bottle love story episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, if I tell you what, if I suppose it's how you want to approach it. If I was blueberrying this in terms of the relative to the rest of the series and the impact that I think telling this story has on the rest of the series, I think I'd agree with you and give it a 4. But I like to blueberry these episodes on their own merit, and this episode for me, I loved it again. It's another 5 blueberry, I'm afraid to say.
Oh shit, son!
Yeah.
That mush is very valuable mush.
Yeah.
The most valuable of the blueberry mush possible. It's 5 blueberries mushed together. That's good, Gareth. I'm very happy that you've given it 5. I'm denied about it. I was on the precipice. and I backed away
He's worried
from
now
the
that
precipice.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll change my score. No, I'm joking. I agree. It's a fantastic episode. It just didn't make it for me. And I will say that maybe a reason for that is because the adaptation of this DLC is a bit different in the games, and it does link more consistently to the current day peril that Joel finds himself in. And they kind of cut that from this adaptation, which is an interesting decision, and we'll get into it in Click a Corner. But of course, before we do that, we have to go through the old plot. And before we do that, we have to have an advert. And before we do that, we have to say thank you to everyone who's been listening to the show. And if you could stop what you're doing, subscribe, share the word of the podcast, that'd be amazing. Any reviews would be fantastic. We've had some great reviews this season. And if you want to support us further, you can go to patreon.com/fancritical and give us some delicious monies to help us make these sorts of shows. Of course, you do get access to some bonus content and can send us little messages and that. It's lovely. So that's patreon.com/fancritical. And any support would be greatly appreciated. Now, we're going to have a little musical interlude, maybe some adverts, and then we'll come back with the plot of episode 7 of The Last of Us, called Left Behind.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
All right, lads, we open with an abandoned suburban snowy street, and we focus in on one house. Inside, Joel is seemingly dying, and Ellie is trying to heal him before Joel tells her to leave. She reluctantly seems to accept Joel is going to die and that she's going to leave. Did you actually think she's going to go? Just out of a question. Just pause it there. No. Yeah.
No, but I know you had a go at me on the hot take, didn't you?
There you go.
What?
Right, we just
Sorry,
we
did
plant
I?
these seeds to see if you listen. That's all.
See if I
Well done.
listen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Breadcrumbs, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you made me sound like a fucking cretin that can't read where the story's going.
No, John. The thing is, mate, it was obvious that she wasn't going to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, mate.
Yeah, I'll tell you what annoys me, because, I mean, one, the voice that you put on is just like, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But also, coming from you, Len, fucking hell, where it's like, oh, look, a blue car, 5 bloobs. Like, fuck off, honestly. Couldn't believe it.
I knew that would get
obviously, I stopped listening to the hot take after that, so I've no idea what happened after. But, yeah, no, obviously, I didn't think she was going to leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the beginning was a bit weird, to be honest.
Interesting. I've put here that Joel the Joel that we sort of, maybe before he met Ellie, would have just left anyone in this state. Do you know what I mean? He would have. He's a pragmatist. We then cut to the past, to a few weeks before Ellie meets Joel for the first time. She is in Fedra Academy doing laps before she gets confronted by Bethany. She then beats the shit out of Bethany.
Why is everyone so much taller than her?
Yeah. Bethany is a giant compared to her, to be fair.
There might be different age groups. Like, are they all necessarily like 14?
Well, yeah. Because I don't think they have. Well, Riley's 17.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't think they really have age groups. Just go, kids, get in there. There's probably not many of them, to be fair. Of course,
depressing.
Fedra kids are all sort of orphans. It's important to note, so they have no parents because they can. It's easier to manipulate them into being tools of this fascist-esque government if they don't have anything like their parents who they're about to oppress inside the QZs. So that's interesting, and that's shown in the Last of Us comic. And it's cool to see a bit of the Fedra Academy here. I've also put the Walkman. That was pretty cool, wasn't it? To see a little Walkman
Sony
like that.
Walkman.
Yeah, I mean, technology was better than that in 2003, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah, but I guess they need something battery powered, and not rechargeable battery powered. I think. So an iPod would have been a bit. Oh, they wouldn't have had iPods, would they?
yeah.
2003.
I think it was 2003. It was just before iPods. I'm telling you now, they're not very like in the market
Len,
yet.
do you remember?
Yeah, what about like a Discman, like mini disc?
Oh yeah, you could do a Discman.
Yeah.
Or a
Yeah.
Good.
mini disc player. They were
Discman.
popular.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Len, when you got your first iPod and you had it?
Oh yeah, hilarious. So
you had it inscribed.
I
didn't
got an
you?
iPod. Yeah, I got an iPod before because you know what I'm like. I'm an early adopter of technology. I got this iPod. It took
A wanker.
absolutely ages, like 2 months to get to me from California.
Yep.
Um,
Heard of it?
what did it say on the back of it, Gareth? It said like
Well,
for Lou or something.
No, you wanted it to say Len's iPod,
Yes.
and it arrived saying
Yeah.
Loopy Loo.
Yeah, Loopy Lou. Bizarre. Also, like, just the fact you could get iPods inscribed back then. No one in the UK had one. I remember taking it to
No
school,
one
the
got
iPod.
them. No one did that either. Like,
Honestly,
wow.
I remember taking this iPod to school, and this must have been 2004, so I reckon it was, it probably wouldn't have been in the show. I remember taking it to school, and everyone was like, what the fuck is this
Who
thing?
is Loopy Loo?
It was like, yeah, and they were like,
Yeah.
who the fuck is Loopy Lou? Mad, absolutely mad. Great times. So Ellie is told that after beating the shit out of Bethany, that she can either be a grunt or smarten up, and she may one day be an
What do you call
officer.
me? Grunt, GR.
Yeah, grunt, GR, yeah. Good old Captain Kwong trying to help Ellie here.
He seems alright,
Um,
doesn't he?
Captain Kwong kind of sounds like a superhero in a way.
Yeah.
I alluded to this in the hot take, but it's interesting that they're giving a more human side to Fedra that you don't really get to see in the game, and they don't come across as awful in this instance. You know, it's good to see them not as just pure evil, which is kind of good because you don't want to have one side that is like, oh yeah, we're the good guys, and one side that's the bad guys. It's good to see that there's a bit of humanity in Fedra.
That'd be terrible writing, wouldn't it?
As Ellie goes to sleep for the night, someone breaks into her room. We find out that this is Riley, her best friend, who has been missing for weeks. She informs Ellie that she's now joined the Fireflies and then convinces Ellie to join her on a night of silliness.
Whoa. Ellie, the
Whoa,
thing
let's
is,
get silly.
The thing is, I've left the bad guys and I've joined the good guys now. So,
yeah.
Well,
I put it's a risky way to wake her up, isn't it?
it is a very risky way to wake anyone up. And then she's like, "Oh look,
Yes.
it was a joke." Climbing through my window at night, I was asleep.
And then
Honestly.
like smothering me.
Yeah,
What the
I
fuck?
thought you'd find it hilarious. No, don't do that again. Like,
In
honestly.
the game, and this is something from Kicker Corner, but I'll just say it here because it probably is more relevant here. She actually like pretends to like bite her in the game, so it's like even more. It's foreshadowing what happens at the end of the episode, but it's a bit like I would definitely just have my knife to hand and just quick stab. Do you know what I mean?
Stabby. Yeah.
Stab. Yeah, so Gaz alluded to it. Riley's now a Firefly, which is who are the group trying to kill Fedra trainees like Ellie. It's a bit Romeo and Juliet, isn't it? Two sides of a, coin and that.
Yep. Agreed.
That's how it starts.
That's how it starts, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting here that Marlene has sort of been overseeing things from the start. You get these elements that, this woman, recruited Riley. Why did she do that? It's because we know that she's sort of been watching Ellie.
No.
In a way.
No.
Go on.
Isn't she only after Ellie
No.
once she understands?
No.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, she's been once Ellie's mother dies, which we don't know much about, but I do know that Ashley Johnson, who actually plays Ellie in the games, is playing Ellie's mother in a scene this season.
Oh, nice.
So you will actually, it's quite meta, really, in a way. Ellie from the game at one stage is holding baby Ellie in the show. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, Marlene's been tasked with looking after her. It just so happens that Marlene is also head of the Fireflies, and also that Ellie is then immune, which is interesting. So Riley and Ellie make their way through the QZ, discovering a dead body and a lovely bottle of whiskey, it seems. They then proceed to Riley's new hideout, an abandoned mall. I did freeze frame the episode trying to figure out what whiskey this was, and I could not see it. Any you boys know?
No.
Did you catch a glimpse?
Didn't.
It did look very nice.
Yeah. I don't watch the episode 4 times like you. So if you didn't see it, I definitely
It's my
didn't.
job, mate. Yeah, it's my
I
job.
will say
So,
the
yeah.
label. The label looked in very good nick.
wake up. It did look a good nick, Gareth. You're right.
And that's been sitting around for at least 20 years.
At least 20.
Yeah.
God knows how long it was in a barrel for, Gareth. Could have been a barrel for another 20. You're looking at could be a 40-year-old bottle of drink. Lovely. Anyway.
Yeah.
Math. I'll tell you what is interesting. So you see this guy who's OD'd, right? Intentionally, I would say. Do you think Joel gave him those pills? Because we know Joel's a smuggler, and we saw him give pills to a federal officer in episode 1.
I
So it's
didn't
kind of
even
like
consider it.
Little Easter egg, little sort of
No,
Joel's
pills,
handiwork.
Well, it was the.
Imagine that. They rock up and there's a bottle of whiskey and a fucking Easter egg just sat next to him. Ooh,
Doesn't he know?
delicious.
Doesn't he know you're not supposed to take these two together?
Yeah.
Whiskey and Easter eggs.
It's at least
Yeah.
40 years
Mix.
old, this whiskey.
Boys, we better be careful because Easter's fast approaching. So you just make sure that when you're having a
go.
whiskey, you don't eat your Easter eggs.
Yeah,
Right.
solid advice.
That's cracked me up, that has.
Oh, here he
Oh.
is. Yeah. No, can we not do puns? Can we just get on with this pod?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Have you got one, or was that
No.
supposed to be one? No. Okay. Okay.
You know, John,
Sorry.
he's not very bunny anymore. Easter bunny.
That is terrible.
God, terrible.
That is
That's
really
like
bad.
one
I'd
I
expect
would
that
do.
from Len, for fuck's
Yeah, I
sake.
know.
Yeah.
Right, trying to move on. Come on.
That's what I said.
Let's not linger. Come on.
You're a shell of your
Come on
former
now.
self.
Oh,
honestly.
he's come to the party.
Oh, very good. Very good. Okay, let's crack on. Inside the mall, Riley turns the power on to the amazement of Ellie and promises to show Ellie a night like she has never seen before, showing her the 5 wonders of the mall. We've referenced this in the hot take, the sense of wonder, John. When all these lights and stuff turns on. Do you like it?
electric stairs. Whoa.
Yeah.
You would be on them all day, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you went to someone's house and then the house just flew in the sky. But whoa, what's going on here? They go, yeah. It's just a flying
Just
house.
flying house.
You'd
Yeah.
be in that house all day. Like, that would be really good. It was as Gaz said on the hot take. I'd just be like, I'm moving in here. I'm just going to live here now.
100%. Bring everyone. Bring everyone
I
over
mean,
here.
you would.
Yeah.
We find out that Riley has moved in later on. So
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was an amazing set. I thought it looked incredible. And once again, the set design and just the world building and the money that goes into the show, very, very good. It reminded me, John, of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
And other classic shopping mall zombie stories. The ultimate playground, if you will.
Yeah.
It interested me as well, the shops that we saw on display. Do you think they've paid money to the show? Like as like advertising or something? It was very
Maybe.
weird to me to have like the Body Shop. And we are sponsored by the Body Shop. If you would like 10% off the Body Shop, you can go to...
You go into the store... Because you need to go into the store and say it. You have to pay for about £500 worth of stuff first, and then you say the secret word, which is obviously our podcast name and all of our names, and then they just give you the whole thing for free. But if you definitely do that, 100% it works.
Try it now.
100%.
Yeah.
Stop listening. Actually, put your headphones in. Keep listening as you're walking down to the shop, and just get it done. Yeah. No, I thought it was just interesting seeing these shops here. I was a bit like, oh, it's a bit weird, because in shows you don't really usually see that, and obviously in the game they didn't have license to any of this stuff, so you definitely didn't see that. So the first stop that we've alluded to is the escalator.
I don't know if it was a stop, was it?
I don't know. It was a bit up and down, to be honest. Oh, stop me! No, seriously, stop me. But. There's a lovely backdrop of Aha's Take on Me here, which, of course, Aha, for a bit of Partridge. Imagine him singing that. Alan Partridge singing Take on Me. That's the backdrop to this. Anyway, just my half asleep brain.
Come on, we got like 4 more wonders to get to. Let's crack on.
Yeah, I know. Take on Me, I'll talk about that more in Clicker Corner. The second is the carousel, which is a beautiful, beautiful scene. Did you guys like this moment between the two of them?
It was a bit up and down.
Actually, Gav, I did look, and these horses didn't go up and down, so I don't know if that works here.
It was a bit round and round.
They were it's round and round. It was the boring carousel. You know, it's one of those shit carousels that just goes round, and the horses don't dip, which is a missed opportunity in my opinion.
Agreed.
But I guess from a camera perspective, much easier. You don't have to go up and down with them. So, no way.
Oh, phew, we got one of them boring ones. It was a lovely rendition of The Cure.
Yes.
What's the song called? It's a good one.
Just Like Heaven?
Just Like Heaven, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the hot take, Gareth, didn't we? How Ellie is the Cure. So it's kind of...
Yep, she's Robert Smith.
Bit of, imagine that. Oh yeah, Riley, my name's Robert. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I went into the wrong room. Sorry. Thought you were Ellie.
It's a lovely moment in the DLC, the carousel, and I'm glad they captured that sort of moment here as well. They then go to the third wonder, the photo booth, which is what do you reckon is this bunny thing in the photo booth?
Well, I mean, it's a shit photo booth, isn't it? I mean, obviously,
I'm not an expert, mate, so I don't really know much about them.
So if that's supposed to be an insult, but
well, apparently you frequent them often, from what you've just
awfully.
said. Awfully.
Well, the thing about photo booths is they're a bit up and down, aren't they?
Yeah. Good.
No, well, I mean, there's obviously the degradation of the system means that it won't even print in colour. So just shit.
Well,
I mean, they're lucky that it printed at all. But I will say that that rabbit in the photo booth, he wasn't very bunny, was he?
Wee. He was a shell of his former self.
I thought it was a bit cheesy, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
like that.
Do you want to explain it?
3, 2, 1, cheesy photo booth.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bit abstract that.
Shit.
But...
Shit. Yeah, very abstract.
Snap.
Actually. Oh dear. Great. Okay, guys. The fourth wonder they go to must be the equivalent of heaven, just like heaven.
Just
Gareth,
like heaven
in the apocalypse. for me, for you, for any of us really, especially to a kid, it's a fully functioning arcade with some of the greatest games of all time and unlimited coins.
I thought you were going to say some of the greatest games of all time and Frogger.
That would have been
dare
good.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd lead with that, wouldn't you? Like, imagine you've gone, right, okay, so far we're 3 in, and I've seen a carousel that doesn't even go up and down, a photo booth that doesn't print in colour, and some moving stairs. So this has been a bit rubbish so far. And then you get an arcade.
Mm.
I thought, right, okay, this belongs in its own genre. This is way better
Yeah.
than everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take me here.
The games in there were incredible. It's one of the best arcades I've ever seen. Like, usually what happens is you go into an arcade, there's
You
like two great...
frequent them often, do you?
Yeah, I do, yeah. There's two good games in there, yeah. And then there's like loads of shit ones, but there's really good ones here. So you've got, we talked about it, Tetris, Frogger, which Gareth just made fun of, Daytona, Attack from Mars, Mortal Kombat 2, and of course, Mortal Kombat 2 is a fantastic game. What are your Mortal Kombat characters, lads?
Oh,
I'll start. I'm Sub-Zero every time.
Yeah. I was always Scorpion.
Get over here.
Get over here. That move is just so good.
probably
Great
Raiden.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah, good move.
Yeah.
He's got good moves,
I mean-
lightning bolt, and also teleportation.
And a nice
Very
hat.
useful.
Yeah. Got a nice
He
hat.
throws the hat as well,
Mm.
and to a vicious effect.
Like Oddjob from...
Slagging me off. Here you go. Look, I'll throw this hat at you. Why are you doing that?
Oh, it got me
eye,
eye.
you maniac.
I've got lightning ability, but I will just throw my hat at you. So yeah. Anyway,
I know. Well, that Raiden, he's all right, isn't he? But he's a bit up and down, hey? And he literally is. That is one of his moves.
it is.
It
It
goes,
is,
yeah.
Up
So
and down,
anyway,
yeah.
look, the makers of Mortal Kombat, they are pissing themselves at the moment. They've been waiting for this. Oh, is he going to use that up and down thing with Mortal Kombat 2? Yes, I have.
As they're playing the game, we see an infected fungi that is attached to a wall. However, the noise of the arcade awakens him. The thing about being attached to a wall is, I'm not going to do it. Anyway, unaware of this, the girls continue their night of fun. Riley gives Ellie...
Crack on, girls.
How you doing, girls? You all right? How you doing, girls?
Riley gives Ellie No Pun Intended Volume 2, but Ellie then finds bombs that Riley has been making for the Fireflies to kill Fedra soldiers, which is a bit of an interesting dynamic, isn't it? It is a bit weird. It's like Riley knows that Ellie works for Fedra, but yet she's making bombs to kill people in Fedra. Like, she knows that some of these kids in the academy are just kids that have been taken from their parents, or because their parents have died, or they're orphans, like I said. So it's an interesting dynamic that I'm trying to wrap my head around.
Yes. Well, I mean, she's a bit of a wanker then, you'd have to say, no?
There's something in there where I'm a bit, it's questionable, but she is still young. Obviously, she's 17.
Fucking hell,
She's-
what a pass.
Yeah.
Do you know what? She's quite young. She's 17.
To be
building
fair, she's-
bombs to
She's
kill
16.
orphans.
She hasn't turned
Yeah.
17 yet, has she?
Fair enough. She's 16,
Yes,
yeah,
Gareth.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
she's a
yeah,
couple weeks away or something. Yes.
Yeah, 1 week.
More delightful puns said in this episode. What did the triangle say to the circle? You're pointless. And my personal favourite. What did the frustrated cannibal do? He threw up his hands. That's good,
Yeah.
that one.
What did the escalator say to the carousel? You're a bit
You're
up
not
and down.
up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a little horse.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what annoyed me though? Is there was one that, like the last one, that we never heard the punchline for.
Go on.
Well, it was something like,
What was it?
Why did the alligator wear a suit or something? And then we never heard the answer.
Because he looks, because he likes dressing snappy.
Snappy.
You like that?
There you go.
I just thought,
Yeah.
I just came up with it.
That would
so
be it.
Might
That
be
would be
wrong.
it. Well done.
That would be it. John, you got any more for us, or you?
Why does the alligator like going to the photo booth? Because he likes the snappy.
Yeah. Awful. Unbelievable. Anyway, Ellie storms off after Riley says that she's actually leaving for the Atlanta QZ.
She didn't read it off the script like you just did. It was much
Yeah.
better delivered, but yeah.
Yeah. Meaning that this is her last night and probably the last time they will see each other. John, Atlanta QZ, a nod to The Walking Dead.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
There you
that.
go.
That made me go. Every time I hear of Atlanta, I'm just like, oh, Walking Dead. I wonder if that is a sly little
You don't think
Easter egg.
1996 Olympics or
Yeah, that as well.
No, who cares about that?
you
Jesus,
mean?
Zombies. Come on.
Well, I mean, Team GB were like zombies at
Oh.
Atlanta 96, taking home 1 gold medal in our worst performance ever at an Olympic Games. So there you go.
There we go.
Always something
Team-
to learn on this podcast.
Team GB, for anyone who doesn't know, is Team Great Britain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We're very up and
That's-
down.
I was about to say we're very up and down because then, like, we came second in the Rio Olympics.
these days our
Like,
performance is very snappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus. Anyway,
But the you know that shot put guy, he threw up his own hands. What are you talking about?
what are you talking about? So bad. Anyway,
Oh no, he was a
Ellie.
cannibal, wasn't he? Yeah, I was mixing it up.
Yeah.
The cannibal shop.
However, Ellie can't bring herself to leave things that way, and she runs back to find Riley in a Halloween store. They put on some tunes and dance like the world hasn't ended.
Right.
Ellie takes off her mask and pleads for Riley not to leave. She then kisses Riley and apologises before Riley says there's no need to apologise and that she will stay with Ellie.
Right. Just the thing that John mentioned earlier. This Halloween store is absolutely fine. Like it's fine, right? It is definitely not the best thing that they saw that night. Like definitely
Yeah, it's bizarre,
the
isn't
arcade blows it out the water.
Yeah. Did I miss a scene where they were like, "This is the best thing"? Because you're having a go at it. I don't think
Yeah,
they're saying it's the best thing.
Riley says,
Yeah,
I
she
saved
says,
it till
yeah.
last because I thought it would be your favourite.
There you go.
Yeah, she walked in. There's just that crappy thing on the floor going. "Ah." I'm like, fucking hell! I'd smash that to bits. It's well annoying.
Yeah, yeah. I thought this was a beautiful scene, and the music in this episode has obviously been fantastic. And the masks, Dancing with the Masks, is in the game. Obviously, the clown mask. Fucking hell, it's a bit much, isn't it?
That's
That clown mask.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, it's very, very much so. Do you know there's a Killer Clowns from Outer Space game coming out that is like 4-player, 1v4?
No
Like,
way.
yeah, genuinely. So that might be interesting for us to play.
To play
Anyway.
that as part of a podcast.
It's a Patreon exclusive. Watch us play Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Just 15 minutes fucking about in the main menu trying to connect. Like, what's going on here?
As usual.
This new podcast is a bit up and down.
It's nice. This moment is so lovely and so heartwarming, and so fucking short-lived that it's painful, you know, because it's just like such a lovely moment. Once again, Last of Us, thank you for giving us these rays of hope and sunshine before you rip them away from us. Because you kind of, it's just brutal, isn't it? Because the next scene is in true Last of Us fashion. It's short-lived. The fun guy, infected man, breaks through,
Irony.
tackling both Ellie and Riley multiple times before Ellie stabs him in the head. Unfortunately, though, both Ellie and Riley are bitten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He stabs him in the head. Yeah, have that,
Caught
you
him
mug.
right in the head.
Well, our fourth member of our gaming group is Ed, isn't it? So
Well, yeah. There you
That
go.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tragic, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But I mean, that's just the show, right? You know, you know
Yeah.
that's how it's going to end.
Yeah. And what would you do if you saw that you were bitten? You got hours to go. What option would you take out of curiosity?
I
probably Daytona.
probably go and hide myself away so that it could turn into like a massive bloater and just cause some
Ah,
chaos.
See you in 20 years. Like that whiskey,
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
Nice. Gareth, what about you?
I'd blow my own brains out, obviously. I've said before. No
100%.
hesitation.
No, John, you're not even bitten, mate. Too late.
Sick of it. Anyway, Gareth, you'd just be one of those terrifying, like in video games, you see those weird like kid-looking zombies because you're like quite slight and small. You'd be one of those creepy-looking ones, wouldn't you?
I mean,
Like tear up seeing it.
I'm not sure any of the zombies.
He's only a small boy.
I'm not sure any of the zombies aren't creepy looking. That's kind of the point, isn't it? Oh, look at that zombie. He looks regular. Hello.
Look at that. That zombie's quite handsome, actually.
Oh,
Why has that never happened?
why is it wearing lingerie? It's been to the shops.
Let's save that. We've got.
Yeah.
We'll make it.
Yeah, save that idea, John. We'll make it a sexy zombie
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah.
It's definitely got legs.
He's looking quite snappy, that
I'd
zombie.
hope he's got legs, yeah, because
Yeah.
he's pretty handsome, but he ain't got no legs.
Well, things are a bit different in the game, and we're going to discuss that in Clicker Corner. Not the outcome, but the way that they get there. Ellie starts turning the place to rubble, smashing everything before they both comfort each other and promise to lose their minds together. This is an amazingly well-acted scene. I love Storm Reed's Riley, and I love Bella Ramsey's Ellie. I think that the chemistry here and the sort of the tragedy that they sort of portray in this sort of moment is just so lovely. And like I said, heartbreaking, just heartbreaking. And it makes you kind of understand where Ellie comes from.
The show, more than many other shows that I can think of, has benefited from numerous occasions now having someone appear in one episode and absolutely smash it out of the
That's
park.
mad.
Yep.
It is insane.
Really good. I mean,
And
there's
we were
one
talking about this
person that didn't, but...
on the hot take. Yeah, we were talking about this on the hot take, and I said it was, the casting. But then I thought about it a bit more, and I think it's just fantastic writing as well. I think, and it's true in the game, but in the game you're like playing as the characters alongside these other characters for longer than an hour. I'd say like 2-3 hours at some stages, so you have more time with them. But here they're still keeping a lot of the elements from the game. Like the dialogue is sometimes word for word, not always, of course, but the writing is just so fucking good, which is why when I knew they were turning this into a show, I was so excited for everyone that hasn't experienced the story, because I was like, people who think video games are like Frogger, or they think video games are like Mortal Kombat 2, need to realise that video games, and this was made in 2013, have come such a long way in terms of the stories that they tell and the people writing them. The script writers are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just testament to them that you're seeing now that translated into the show, and it's still being fucking amazing. It's justification that games have come such a far way, such a long way, and they're getting even better. Every fucking year. I just played God of War Ragnarok. Fucking incredible game. Writing impeccable. And you just get these games coming out year after year that are strong narrative journeys. And I think that is why the writing is so good, and we're getting these characters that just are there for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and yet still take our breath away. So, yeah, it's lovely stuff. And a tragic end for their relationship.
Yeah.
And obviously this is hard for Ellie. She doesn't lose her mind, and Riley does. So, and I'm sure they're alluding to the fact that the first person Ellie killed was Riley. So, fucking brutal. We then see Ellie in present day, not leaving Joel. John, don't worry, she's not leaving.
John at that point was like, "Why? She stayed."
I thought she was going. No, she's furiously searching
very
for
up
supplies.
and down this episode.
She finds a thread and needle to help him, and she refuses
Needle and
to
thread,
leave
surely.
him behind.
Isn't it weird to say thread and needle?
Well, I don't know, Gareth. As I said, I just woke up, so I'm just trying to process. I can barely fucking see
No, I mean,
my notes.
there's nothing
let alone-
wrong with it. It just sounds weird, doesn't it? Thread and needle.
Okay,
Yeah,
it
'cause
does
it's
sound
wrong.
weird.
Yeah.
It's fucking wrong, yeah. This, like in the game, the way she's furiously looting is you have to press triangle to sort of collect all the fucking like bottles of booze and tape and all that shit. And you're just running through houses most of the time, just spamming triangle.
Yeah.
And she was literally spamming triangle here. Like,
Triangle's
where the fuck is
definitely
this
not
thing?
pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
maybe that's an Easter egg. The triangle pun, and then the looting. Yeah, it's interesting. It's good that she's not leaving him behind, so John can rest easy now,
For
and
you.
we can. And yeah, it's a good way to leave the episode. There's a bit of me that's like, I kind of wanted to see. Did I want to? I don't know if I do actually. Want to see Riley and Ellie again.
Have these thoughts before the podcast.
Yeah, sorry. Live thought process. No, I just think, do you think we'll see them again? Do you think we'll see the resolution of that story, or we're just leaving it?
Nah.
Okay, good. Interesting. And that brings a close to the episode, scene by scene breakdown. But of course, we're not done here on this podcast. It's time for Click a Corner. Yes, welcome to Click a Corner, and boy, do we have some delicious Easter eggs for you this week. Now, of course, do not mix those with your whiskey, as we have discussed.
Dangerous.
First up, this is a really cool one. So when Captain Kwong this was really weird from Captain Kwong, where he's like, you can be the cup or you can be the keys. That was weird. Just say you've got one path or another path. I don't know why he did that. But you know what I mean? But
Yeah, it
on
was
the
bizarre.
key, on his keys, there's the Naughty Dog logo. So
Oh, really? There you go.
yeah, that is a fucking cool little Easter egg. I had to pause it. I was like, is that? Yep, it is. Naughty Dog logo. Of course, we hear Pearl Jam at the start of the episode in Ellie's Walkman, and their song Future Days, which is not the song in this episode, but their song Future Days is an absolutely huge part of The Last of Us Part 2. So I can't wait to hear that song in Season 2. And I'm going to say it will probably appear in the very first episode of Season 2. We've talked about Savage Starlight. Obviously, Ellie's reading it here. And we've also, talked about William Livingston and the puns multiple times. So don't need to talk about that. But I think it is important that we talk about the Left Behind DLC. Now, in the game, it's obviously bigger, and it jumps between Ellie finding supplies in a mall, like near where Joel is. She's put Joel in like the garage or whatever, and she's gone to a mall to find supplies. As she's looting these supplies, there are people hunting her down, the people that they just killed at the university. And she is finding supplies and thinking back to the time that her and Riley had in the mall. So that's kind of interesting. So it sort of tethers it to the current day sort of emergency that the characters find themselves in. But, the key highlights are the same. There's a Halloween store, there's the carousel, there's the photo booth. The photo booth in the game actually says, do you want to share your photos to Facebook? Because that's what they did. But this is interesting. So, because the show has actually moved the infection 10 years earlier to 2003. In the game, it is in 2013, and current events are happening in 2033. But in the show, they've moved the infection to 2003 and current events 2023.
Yeah.
So there is no Facebook in 2003, hence why there was no option on the photo booth in the show.
There you go.
There you go.
Makes sense.
Little tidbit. for you
Share
there,
to
Tom.
MySpace.
Yes. The arcade in the game doesn't work, which is tragic. And you have this sequence where Riley is kind of describing the game, and you have these like fake health bars pop up, and they describe the fight. So it's a bit different, and obviously nowhere near as cool.
Devastating, wouldn't it?
The game was actually featured in a previous Clicker Corner. We talked about it, and the game they use in the game is called The Turning, because they didn't have rights to Mortal Kombat then or anything, because obviously now the show is made by Warner Brothers, and by extension they have rights to Mortal Kombat and that. But the game is called The Turning, and Ellie sees an arcade machine and talks about it with Joel, and says there's this character called Angel Knives who inhales the character and then spits out their bones, exactly the same as Marlena's fatality move here in Mortal Kombat. So the stuff in the game was actually based on Mortal Kombat 2, which is kind of cool in a way. So it's nice that they finally got it now. And Dawn of the Wolf, John, did you notice this poster? Dawn of the Wolf Part 2.
Yeah.
I'm glad they kept it in there. It is a poster you see throughout the game. Joel says in the game that he even saw this and it's a dumb teen movie. And then Ellie goes, "Oh, who dragged you to see that then?" And he refuses to say, because it's obviously Sarah. And at that point, him and Ellie weren't really close enough to discuss Sarah. So that's interesting to me. I do think when I look back at the posters in the game, they're like a bit silly. Like Dawn of the Wolf Part 2. We've talked about Curtis and the Viper 2, which does feature in Last of Us Part 2. So it's just funny to me. Anyway, it's good. You see pipe bombs, which we know you can build multiple variations of bombs across The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. So it was cool to see them and Riley upgrading her crafting manual, if you will. And just to say that in the DLC, there is way, way more infected. It's not just one, but it's actually a mini horde, John. There's probably like 20 of them. And as we've discussed before in the show, guys, they have stripped a lot of the violence back. So the infected and, the violence is way more realistic, because I think the most they've gone, episode 5 when we saw that horde, that's the most sort of crazy they've gone. Obviously, there was fucking loads of them, the infected. But it's interesting that they have really stripped everything back and made it so that like even one infected for these kids is a big deal. You know what I mean? Which kind of adds to the horror a bit, I guess, and takes away from the silliness, which I kind of like.
Yeah. No, I think that's the right choice.
I do as well. I do think it's the right choice, and I'm glad that everything's a bit more realistic. And it's funny saying that when we're talking about fun guys and all that jazz. And that is it for Clicker Corner this week. Quite a few things there that I thought were quite cool. There's lots of good bits in there. Shall we move on to listener feedback? One of our favourite sections. And you can write into us at Fan Critical Podcast. It depends what the feedback is. That is very true. I will say this. Feedback this season's been lovely. Occasionally, we do get the odd abusive email. But this season, we haven't had one. It's bloody lovely.
So if you want to, send them in.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, if you want to abuse us, you can write in at fancriticalpodcast@gmail.com. Really brightens up our days. First up, we have Dante Darden, who's wrote it in with some amazing fish puns for us.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so first one's one that I've mentioned, but we'll go for it. He said, "What did the fish say when it swam into the barrier?" Damn. What did the second fish say when it swam into the first? Dumb bass. Get it? What did the third fish say when he ran into the second? Bass turd. That's pretty good, that. He says, "Enjoy."
Is there any more?
No, that's it. No, just 3.
It's good.
They
are
very good.
Awful. Absolutely awful.
Yeah.
So
but
perfectly
I
in
like that.
keeping with us. So well done.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you've got this far through the podcast, you know that we are terrible at puns.
Wow.
They're very up and down. We're very up and down with them. Anyway, Lani's sent us some links, some research, boys, on Linda Ronstadt, which, because we, I was saying that I didn't know much about her career or anything, so they've sent us some links to check out. I'm going to forward it on to you. So thanks for that, Lani. I'm going to forward it on to them so that we can have a quiz at the end of the season and we can see who's actually watched it. Yeah, you like that? Yeah. Thanks, Lani. Renee Fuller's been in touch and had this to say. Not familiar with the game, so does it ever address what happened to Sarah's mother? The fact they never talk about her seems like a big setup for her eventual return, but perhaps next season. Well, that is interesting.
I have returned. This show's gone off the boil, isn't it?
Yeah, like Gandalf. Spoiler for Lord of the Rings there. What I will say is...
What?
No, Sarah's mother. Now, this is a very good question, because I think there is no reference to Sarah's mother in the first game at all. And I was scratching my head going, do we ever hear about Sarah's mother? We don't. We do not hear about Sarah's mother ever. And it is very weird to me that we never hear about this character. Like, even Joel talking about his ex-wife or something.
Yeah. Can you stop giving away Lord of the Rings, please?
There's not one line in the game that I can remember, and I would love anyone who is as passionate about the game as me to write in and tell me if I am wrong, but I cannot remember there being one line of dialogue about Sarah's mother. And that is very interesting. So I'll be fascinated to hear if there's anything about it in the show. Maybe Pedro might bring it up at certain times, because it feels like an oversight
Pedro,
to me.
first name basis.
Pedders, yeah.
Does it with everyone.
She also says, how amazing is Craig Matzin's daughter's voice in the final Never Let Me Down Again soundtrack from last week? So, Gaz, remember we played the music last week, that amazing rearrangement of Never Let Me Down. The song we heard at the end of episode 1 was used, obviously, acoustic and a sort of slower acoustic, more emotional version last week. That is actually Craig Matzin's daughter.
Yeah,
I think it's Jessica Matzin. Yeah, her voice was fucking incredible, and I'll play a bit more of that song here now. It was amazing, that song last week. Like, I've been listening to it a few times. It's a great rendition. So yes, Renee, I agree with you, and we agree with you. And thanks for writing in. And that's it for the feedback this week, because, as I said, I overslept. I fucked up. And
you fucked up
believe it or not, me and Gareth have actually got to go to work now. So it's one of those things, a peek behind the curtain, they call it, of podcast production. If you oversleep, you do end up almost missing the podcast entirely, to be honest.
Yes.
So I'm actually amazed we got this one done.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for everyone's support. As I said, write in fancriticalpodcast@gmail.com. The least you can do is leave us a review. That would be fantastic. As I said, we haven't had much abuse this season, so feel free to abuse us via the review system if you really don't like our content. But of course,
Please.
Good reviews are always better in a way. Although, to be honest with you, the bad ones are hilarious. So I do like getting those from time to time. Sometimes they actually end up being kind of what we want from a review, because one person said, what did they say about us, John? They said we're like squirrels. We get distracted talking about things.
I think they were like, it's
more like a
it
group
just
of
sounds
mates
like
chatting.
some mates having
a
a
laugh
chat in the pub
instead of serious
exactly
analysis. Well, that's exactly what we want to be. So jokes on them. Anyway,
Jokes on them.
leave us a review. Of course, the bare minimum is subscribe and tell your friends about the podcast. We've only got 2 episodes left in this season, so better late than never. Anyway, thank you to John and thank you to Gareth. I apologise for my tardiness this morning.
It's all good, mate.
It's all right.
Deserve a little
very
line.
panicked.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I do. Yeah, I'm exhausted. But yeah, sorry about that. And I hope I don't sound too manic on this podcast. And thank you for sticking with us, dear listener. We will, of course, be back next week for episode 8 of The Last of Us. Episode 8, only 2 episodes left. Jesus Christ. And as we said, only like an hour and a half left. So fucking hell. Anyway, thanks very much. And we'll catch you on the next one. Endure and survive.
It's good, though.
Goodbye.
A bit up and down, but...
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift the Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.